As a child, I was fortunate to have access to woods and fields and creeks and lakes. That gave me an understanding and respect for the natural world and spurred my curiosity. These important first-hand experiences cannot be taught in the classroom. You have to come outdoors. This morning, I'm at the Crowley Museum and Nature Center. Here, the natural and cultural history of this part of Florida is preserved and passed on to children and adults through a wide range of programs. This is the Florida Field Journal. I'm here today at Crowley Nature Center with the program director, Harmony. Glad to be here.
Thank you for having me.
How long have you been here?
I've been here approximately 2 years. I started out at the summer camp as a camp counselor, and then I got involved with the Day in the Life of a Pioneer program, which teaches children about pioneer history. We have living historians, and the children get a hands-on view of things like candle making, gardening, where food came from for the pioneers, where their water came from, campfire cookery, hands-on experience with the animals that the pioneers had, and they get a look at the Pioneer Museum, which is set up like an old general store. So that's when I first fell in love with Crowley, was that connection to history that was tangible. And I remember my very first day here, a neighbor came in with a lamb, and it was an exciting moment for me to see and touch something that I'd only seen on TV, or to just get that connection to where my food comes from and how my ancestors lived.
Tell me a little bit about the history of Crowley.
John Crowley was a pioneer who homesteaded this property, and he was a rancher. He had a general store. His grandson was Jasper Crowley, who donated this piece of property to the public in 1974. He got together with a lady named Adina Truchot, who was at one time president of the Audubon Society, and they were an odd couple. She was a naturalist, he was a good old boy farmer, and so they would give tours to people, and Adina would walk in the front of the group and pick up a lubber grasshopper and marvel at its beauty and describe its importance to the ecology, and then Jasper would come up behind her and squish it because it got into his garden. So we have that same balance here today. We have 200 acres of nature trails and a preserve, but we also have an agricultural program, a balance of how to use the land and how to preserve the land.
Of course, we're in the rainy season here, so we have a lot of small friends around us.
The mosquitoes.
They're part of the cycle too.
They can be like small birds here. Yeah, it's amazing. The rainy season this year has created such a beautiful swamp. Florida ecology is marvelous because an area that is completely bone dry during the winter is full of life and water and flowers in the summertime. Never ceases to amaze me.
This is the observation tower. Out there is the Mayaka River. And as you can see, this is quite flooded now. It's very wet, and the field is full of swamp hibiscus. Absolutely beautiful.
One of the first things that I do at the beginning of a day in the life of a pioneer program with the kids is ask them to listen. And I ask them what they hear, and they hear farm animals. And bugs, birds. And it's amazing the music of the natural landscape, how it differs from the music of the city. And it's also amazing because it encourages the kids to stay quiet. Once they hear those sounds, they continue to listen to them. It makes running the program a lot easier for the staff.
Crowley participates in the EdExploreSRQ program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm particularly interested in the nature programs you offer. We think of science as being in the classroom or the lab, but there's a lot of science outdoors.
Absolutely. I think our programs are important in exposing children to the natural landscape. We give the kids hands-on activities so that they are connecting with the landscape and learning about the plants and the animals, the tracks, the scat. One of our recent programs was a nature craft. And so we went on a hike and found objects on the ground. And we talked about the importance of not collecting from the living plants. And then we took those pieces and we made bugs out of them. And the idea was that the kids could make a saleable product, learn about nature, and have a good time doing it. Another program that we have is we teach children about the Florida aquifer. And in that process, we use one of the old-fashioned wells, and we ask the kids, where does this water come from? The guesses are entertaining, but then we talk about the Florida aquifer, the way it works, and we build a model of the Florida aquifer in a little Dixie cup with the different layers of sediment and a layer of clay. So they learn about how the water is purified and where our water comes from.
Water is certainly an important subject here in Florida. We either have too much or too little. In the future, it will be crucial to understand the science of water, not just locally, but globally as well. And what have you learned?
Oh my goodness. Being here has completely changed me. I went to school in the city. It's a different pace. It's a different set of priorities. I feel that I have learned to be more self-sufficient. I have learned to appreciate the simple things in life. I have learned a lot about how to feed myself with wild plants and a little bit about survival in the wilderness. I've seen the different phases of the swamp, which is fascinating. What else? I've learned that people need to be exposed to nature because otherwise they're afraid of it. And once you see a rattlesnake enough times, you realize that they're not really quite as dangerous as you once thought, and that they serve a very important purpose in the ecosystem, that this is a system where every single piece is important, and when we disturb any one of those pieces, there's consequences.
I wish our leaders and politicians understood that. You mentioned edible wild plants. What is that?
This is the American beautyberry. You can identify it because it has purple berries on it when it's ripe, or purple blossoms here. And this is a natural insecticide. It works for mosquitoes, and it's been scientifically proven to work. And what you do is you just crumple up the leaf like this, activates the oil, and then you scrub it on your skin, and it works for about an hour. We make this beautyberry bug spray that we sell in our apothecary, and it works amazingly well. Pioneers used the berries for jam, which has a very light flavor. It's delicious. So it's slightly toxic, but not harmful.
I understand beautyberry is classified as an astringent, which means you shouldn't eat a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. This is the native grapevine. It's called the fox grape. And this time of year, it's full of grapes. Not all of the vines have grapes. I don't think that they produce every single year, but they're delicious. And I'll have to get you some before you leave.
The fox grape is the same genus as muscadine.
So this here, we have the fox grape here. This is smilax, another vine. And the end is a tender shoot, which you can eat, and it tastes like asparagus. It's really good. I should get you another one. Here, try this.
This is tasty.
So another program that we do with the kids is old-fashioned cane pole fishing in Crowley Creek, which is a lot of fun. And surprisingly, the kids can catch pretty big fish. We have a concierge camping program where the kids get to stay over here with their parents. And our camping director, she sets up the tent, builds the fire, prepares all of the meals over a campfire, and the kids get a nature tour and a history tour. I think the thing that's really amazing about that is it encourages families who don't normally go camping to come out and spend the night. And I'm surprised when they wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when the sun comes up, and the sound in the morning is something foreign to them and maybe one of the most special moments that people camping for the first time have.
You were terrific.
Oh, good, thank you.
Obviously, you really like this place.
Oh, yes, it's a little piece of heaven. You know, I'm not exaggerating when I say it changed me. It's being exposed to this many habitats and to take my shoes off and run through the mud, feel like a wild woman, you know? I mean, there's just no way to explain that kind of connection to the earth until you live it. Back to the root and childhood. Yes, this is true. Yeah, that's why I like the kids program so much, is because you get to be a kid.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Throughout our lives, we are shaped by our surroundings and our own innate instincts. This combination of internal and external influences makes us unique individuals and hopefully gives us the wisdom to ensure the future for all species, including our own.